Welcome to Will It Build, the series where I take your builds from my YouTube comments and Discord server and put them to the test to see if they are the real deal. If it's solid, then I'll gift you 1,000 silver, and if it's really something special, you'll be featured in a dedicated build video for your submitted build. So comment yours below so we can answer the question, will it build? Welcome back to another episode of Will It Build, where in this one we're doing the typical emblem giveaway goodness. One is going to be reserved for a nice commenter who leaves a great comment down below, is subscribed to the channel and likes the video, and the second emblem that we're giving away is going to be hidden somewhere in the video, so watch the entire thing and keep your eyes peeled. Today we have a build submitted by Moth Observer of Lamp called Sun equals Deadly Laser, which is a build that I think is going to be exceptional in the Edge of Fate. What you're going to start noticing with a lot of my Will It Build videos is that I'm focusing primarily on builds that are going to be good in the Edge of Fate, and I'm going to be telling you guys all of the things that you need to acquire in preparation for the build to be good in the Edge of Fate, all of the armor stat rolls that you're going to want for the build, because the stats are converting into different stats when we get in the Edge of Fate. So these builds that you're looking at right here, all of the builds that I'm going to be putting up as we walk into the Edge of Fate, are going to be just as good as they currently are on the Edge of Fate, or in a lot of situations, they're going to be even better in the Edge of Fate than they currently are right now. So in this one, we have a pure solar Warlock setup going with the Prometheus lens trace rifle, which is an absolutely beautiful trace rifle, especially if you have this ornament on. Shout out to anyone who played Destiny 2 back in the old heyday when we had laser tag weekend and the Curse of Osiris for Prometheus lens, when it was one tap in everyone. This is a really cool exotic trace rifle with the intrinsic trait Prismatic Inferno, which fires a solar trace beam that creates a field of heat energy that grows as the weapon is fired, so you can get like a little bit of AoE action. Sustained damage is going to apply Scorch to the target, which is going to have some really good synergies with pure solar Warlock in conjunction with our exotic armor piece. The weapon trait on Prometheus lens is called Flame Refraction, where kills with this weapon are going to return a fraction of the ammo used to the magazine from reserves, extending the beam's duration. So effectively Subsistence is going to be rocking and rolling on this pulse rifle. And then on the catalyst for the pulse rifle, we have built in Incandescence, which everyone knows what Incandescent does. When you kill an enemy target, it explodes and applies Scorch to nearby targets, which in conjunction with the Scorch that we're applying with the beam itself is going to lead to a lot of ignitions. Now we're going to pair this exotic trace rifle up with the Dawn Chorus exotic helmet, where our Daybreak projectiles deal more damage and Scorch targets on impact, but the main thing we're using this helmet here for is that our Scorch is improved and we gain a small amount of melee energy anytime our Scorch damages a target. So how much is our Scorch improved exactly? How much melee energy are we getting exactly? And if we do decide to end up trying out Daybreak on this build, how much are our projectile damage increased exactly? So we're going to head on over to the trusty Destiny Data Compendium and come over here to exotic armors. We'll look up Dawn Chorus. So Daybreak projectiles inflict 30 Scorch stacks on hits and deal 90% increased damage. And due to how Daybreak projectiles work, they often hit twice, so you would inflict actually 60 Scorch stacks per Daybreak projectile. And then as far as the base Scorch bonuses, Scorch deals 200% increased damage and grants 5% melee ability energy per tick. So that's a very significant damage increase and a very good amount of melee energy. Now this melee energy per tick that we're going to be receiving is not going to be a flat 5% when we walk into the Edge of Fate, but it's actually going to scale with our melee armor stats when we're in the Edge of Fate. So the way it's going to work out basically is if we have at least 70 melee stat, then we're going to get values like we see today in live, that 5% melee ability energy. But if we actually go over that 70 melee stat, we'll actually get even more than 5% melee ability energy per tick from Dawn Chorus. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that we want to build into melee for this build. It's just something that I thought was worth noting, and these are things that you have to consider as we're walking into the Edge of Fate whenever we curate and craft builds that involve ability energy regenerations. So if we adventure over to the subclass, they have recommended that we go with Phoenix Dive, which makes perfect sense. In my opinion, it's definitely the best Warlock class ability. Simple, go straight to the ground, Scorch targets upon landing, which nicely synergizes with our Dawn Chorus, and heals us and all of our nearby allies. They have hooked us up with Incinerator Snap, so we can Scorch targets. Nice little snap, and we'll be getting ability energy regeneration towards that anytime we do Scorch targets from any source, thanks to our Dawn Chorus. They have recommended Fusion Grenade, explosive grenade that will deal a very handsome amount of damage and Scorch enemies, plays into the Dawn Chorus. For our aspects, Next, we have Touch of Flame, so that our grenades are enhanced. Specifically for our fusion grenade, it is going to explode twice, which means that when we go into the Edge of Fate, it could be a very valuable proposition to build a lot into our grenade stat, because if we go over 70 into the grenade stat, not only are we going to get faster grenade regeneration rates from all sources of grenade ability regeneration, but if we actually go over 100 and we lean closer to get up to 200 grenade stat, we'll actually be doing 65% bonus grenade damage period from our grenades, and considering that they explode twice with Touch of Flame, that could be very, very potent. In our other aspect slot, we've got Hellion, where anytime we activate our class ability, our Phoenix Dive, we get that Solar Mortar that lobs flaming projectiles and will scorch targets. Obviously synergizes very well with Dawn Chorus. Down in the Fragment department, we're going with the Ember of Sinjin, where our class ability recharges faster when we scorch targets. Makes perfect sense here. Again, in the Edge of Fate, this amount of class ability regeneration is going to depend on our class stat. So if we have at least 70 class stat in the Edge of Fate, we'll see regeneration values similar to what we have today, whereas if we go over that 70 mark, then we are actually going to get even more class ability regeneration from something like the Ember of Sinjin. And if we go over that 100 mark, we'll actually get an overshield every time we cast our Phoenix Dive. Not sure how necessary that is, considering it cures us already, but again, just kind of trying to help you guys get into the mindset for what build crafting is going to look like in the Edge of Fate and all of the variables that we're going to want to consider. Fragment slot number 2, we got the Ember of Char, where our solar ignitions are going to spread Scorch to affected targets. Nothing crazy about that one, and nothing changing about this one in the Edge of Fate either. In number 3, we've got the Ember of Searing, where defeating scorched targets grants melee energy and creates a fire sprite. Again, amount of melee energy is going to scale based on our melee stat. And finally, in our 4th slot, the Ember of Ashes, going to remain identical to how it currently is in the Edge of Fate. You apply more Scorch stacks to targets, specifically 50% extra Scorch stacks, which is going to be awesome when you pair it up with the Dawn Chorus, which is going to deal increased damage from all Scorch sources, and all of the ways that we have to Scorch things like Hellion, things like our Fusion Grenade, things like our Melee, and of course, the star of the show here, our Prometheus Lens Exotic Trace Rifle. Now, as far as our other weapons go, they have actually recommended the Call Rocket Sidearm, which you'll notice is a double special situation. Now, typically, I don't love going double special builds these days. However, rocket sidearms, from an ammo economy perspective, kind of feel like primary ammo weapons in terms of how readily available your ammo is for them. I feel like you never run out of ammo on rocket sidearms. And similarly, trace rifles kind of exist in a similar plane, right? Where it feels like, you know, you use a trace rifle, it is technically a special ammo weapon, but it feels like you always have ammo for it. So I think double special is going to actually feel quite okay with a rocket sidearm and Prometheus Lens, even for people who aren't usually used to using double special loadouts, because they basically play like primary ammo weapons from an ammo economy perspective. On the call, I have crafted it with lead from gold, which is going to help us with our ammo economy even more. So anytime we pick up a heavy ammo brick, we're also going to get weapon to the call, and then one for all 35% bonus damage when we hit 3 or more targets, which will make this thing into an absolute monster. I also want to know, for anyone worried about weapons like this potentially being not very good in the Edge of Fate. So a lot of words on screen right now, but I'm just going to highlight a couple areas, right? Right here, as we are in the pre-Edge of Fate weapons category, crafted weapons from a gameplay perspective, right? So if you don't worry about like perk diversity and you don't worry about cosmetics, are effectively the same strength as a tier 3 weapon. And so what I mean by this is, if you look at this chart right here that I've designed of weapon tier benefits, I've broken them up into 3 different categories, which are actual benefits. And what I mean by actual benefits are like, it has increased stats, it deals increased damage, it has better traits, right? It has enhanced perks. And then you have 2 other categories of benefits that are more quality of life / visual benefits, and not benefits that actually make the gameplay of the weapon better in the moment that you're actually firing the weapon, right? So quality of life benefits are things like you have more perk options, right? That's going to help you a lot when it comes to finding a good god roll. But when you're comparing that with like a crafted weapon, you're crafting the god roll in a crafted weapon. So this isn't that valuable when you're comparing like a tiered weapon to a craftable weapon, right? Because a craftable weapon, you're just selecting the perks anyway. You don't really worry about having multiple different perk options. And then the cosmetic speaks for itself, doesn't actually lend to gameplay improvements, right? So when we're looking at this, and I think this is really important, when you're looking at a crafted weapon, the only tier that you get to where a tiered weapon actually has better gameplay benefits than a craftable weapon is right here at tier 4, when the magazine, mod slot, and the barrel of the weapon actually get enhanced. And that's a very negligible benefit, all things considered, right? Because if we pop over here in game, you'll notice my column 3 and 4 perks are already enhanced through the crafting process with Ascendant Alloys, which is the benefit that you would get from a weapon being tier 2. The benefit that you would get from a weapon being tier 3 is that you would just get more perk options here. But that doesn't really matter because I'm hand selecting my perks. I'm already getting the perfect ones that I want. So for a lot of people that are concerned about like, oh, my current weapons that are going into my current builds, they're going to suck in the Edge of Fate. Not necessarily. From a pure gameplay perspective, they're actually going to be on par until you start getting tier 4 weapons. And even then, very negligible difference, to be completely honest. So don't worry too much about a lot of the weapons that you're currently using in a lot of your builds becoming useless, because that's just not really going to be the case, to be completely honest. A God Roll perfectly crafted enhanced perk 3 and 4 the Call is still going to be able to go toe-to-toe with plenty of stuff. In that same vein, for our other weapons, in the heavy slot, they have recommended that we go with a solar machine gun. I've got my fixed odds solar machine gun. I should probably put a mod on it. With enhanced field prep and enhanced incandescent, you can go whatever you want in this slot. This is just what I ended up with. Now, before I talk about the armor mods for this build, I first want to talk about some of the artifact perks that we're going to be getting in the Edge of Fate, because they are going to make this build even better. Because we were able to playtest the Edge of Fate early at Bungie HQ, massive thanks to them for flying me out, we actually know what all of the artifact perks are going to be in the season that arrives with the Edge of Fate. And so some of these artifact perks are going to be extremely good for solar-based builds like the one that we're currently using. Specifically, things like Flame, Fiber, and Freeze, which grants the ability to equip a solar and strand combo siphon mod that costs 3 energy. Another one is going to be Fever and Chill, where rapid precision hits with solar weapons grant Radiant. So we're going to be able to very easily get Radiant simply by beaming stuff with our Prometheus lens. We're also going to have Reciprocal Draw, where rapid non-sidearm final blows, aka final blows with our machine gun or our trace rifle, grant sidearms, aka our Call rocket sidearm, a period of increased damage for a short time upon our next draw. We're also going to have Cauterized Darkness, where stasis or strand debuff non-boss combatants, things like champions, take increased solar damage from all sources. That's going to be more of like a team play one, where if you're doing like raids or grandmasters or something like that, and your teammates have a lot of slow and freeze and suspend and unravel and sever, it's just going to juice up the damage of your Prometheus lens towards those targets. This one is going to be absolutely massive here. Radiant Shrapnel, where dealing sustained weapon damage while radiant or defeating a scorched combatant with a weapon, both things that are going to happen very frequently because of things like Fever and Chill, and because of things like our Dawn Chorus, causes the target to release solar projectiles that deal damage and scorch on impact. Even more scorch to synergize nicely with our Dawn Chorus. And then finally, Shield Crush, specifically the second part of it, where while you're amplified or radiant, which is the important part we care about, our grenade recharges faster and deals increased damage, which if you stack that on top of the potential 65% damage buff that we're also going to be getting if we run 200 grenade stat, plus the fact that our grenade detonates twice for our Touch of Flame aspect, that could get real out of control real fast. And so the reason I wanted to show you those before we actually talk about our armor mods that we're currently running is because on our helmet, we're rocking and rolling with a strand siphon in conjunction with a solar siphon. However, in the season of the Edge of Fate, those will be able to smush into one because of the artifact perk that we're going to be getting. We're also going with a heavy ammo finder at the current moment. And actually, now that I'm looking at this, I'm being kind of dumb in terms of my energy allocations, because this solar siphon can actually be a harmonic siphon instead, which will give me some extra points to put, I don't know, we could maybe go, wouldn't really make a difference in terms of my energy allocation here because none of my stats can actually go higher, but just for y'all watching out there, you can go harmonic siphon, strand siphon, heavy ammo finder. And the heavy ammo finder kind of in a way works like a special ammo finder as well, at least for our Call, because we have that lead from gold perk on it. Down on the gloves, they're hooking us up with a momentum transfer, causing damage with a grenade reduces melee cooldown, focusing strike, grants class ability energy when we cause damage with a powered melee attack, and then bolstering detonation grants class ability energy when we cause damage with a grenade. On the chest piece, it's just going to be resistances, concussive dampener, and then elemental resistances, depending on the activity that you're playing. On the boots, they've set us up with a recuperation, so anytime we scoop up an orb of power, we get health. We've got an absolution mod, reduce all ability cooldowns when we scoop up an orb, and harmonic scavenger, so when we walk over special ammo and heavy ammo bricks, we're going to get bonus ammo for our machine gun and for our Prometheus lens. And then finally, on the class item, Reaper, so that we generate orbs of power after casting our class ability, Special Finisher, so that we can generate special ammo on demand, and then a Bomber mod, so that when we use our class ability, we reduce our grenade cooldown. Now, at the current moment, my stat allocations are max resilience, max discipline, and then as high recovery as I can possibly get. I don't know at this exact moment what stat allocations you're going to want to have walking into the Edge of Fate, since some of these stats are converting into different stats. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to take this build into a Grandmaster Nightfall, get a run in with it, make any modifications, and then at the end of this episode of Will It Build, depending on how the build played and what I felt, what ability regenerations were most important and what damage increases on certain abilities are most important, I will let you know at the end of this episode not only what stat distributions you're going to want on your armor pieces walking into the Edge of Fate, so it's perfect in the Edge of Fate, but I'm also going to show you the best way to get that specific stat allocation high rolled armor. So make sure you stick around to the end. But for the current moment, we are currently assembled. I've got Mr. Torg and Revive Me Bro and the Fire team, who are hanging out in the live stream as we're recording this right now. Twitch.tv/Mactics, by the way. You should stop by. And we're going to go ahead and boot up a Grandmaster Nightfall. I believe it's Hypernet Current this week. And we're going to answer that question: will it build? Thanks to today's sponsor, Gate to Adventure, a marketplace for digital goods where you can safely save some money while shopping for your favorite games. Now, I'll be honest, I've heard about G2A.com before, and similar to what you might have heard, I'm sure, it wasn't always the best stories. Frankly, I wasn't even considering taking the sponsorship at all because I refuse to promote anything to you guys that isn't shipshape. But after learning about their seller verification process and how safe it really is, I felt a lot more comfortable about the platform. You see, every game key seller undergoes a strict verification process where they have to be in full compliance with local laws and international regulations. In fact, only about 25% of seller applications are even approved, where the rest are asked for more information or just straight up rejected. Every seller is also subjected to performance checks by G2A management to ensure a safe and pleasant buying experience for any and everyone. So go ahead and click that link down in the description below and go pick up a game that you have been dying to try. Thanks to Gate to Adventure. Now let's get back to the video. Why the Call versus Tinashe's? I missed the setup. My guess for why they recommended the Call instead of Tinashe's is because next season for the artifact mods, we'll be able to have a combo Strand and Solar Siphon mod. Or wait a minute. Will there also be a combo Stasis and Solar Siphon mod? Yeah, I believe there will be, yeah. Then yeah, you could go to Tinashe's, actually, now that I think about it. My guess as to why they didn't recommend it is maybe they just don't have it, because Tinashe's is a lot harder to acquire than the Call is, because you got to get it from Iron Banner. The Call, you just go ahead and craft. That would be my guess. Alright, so we're just going to keep lobbing grenades. Our melee is up extremely frequently, I'm noticing, because of all the Scorch that we're dishing out. I think a big thing with this build as well is going to be very okay with like heavy ammo usage, right? And cycling between all three of our weapons, if that makes sense. So like, I'm gonna pop this guy's shield with my machine gun, and then we'll go to my Call rocket sidearm to get him from range. And I hit all three of them, so I procced one for all, so I got the 35% increased damage. I'm trying to hit him from really far away because these guys are snipers and they hurt a lot. But our main priorities here are scorching everything, spamming melees, spamming grenades, and spamming class ability. So like, for example, I'm going to use my class ability right now so we can get our Hellion going. And we can ignite this guy. Snap right here. Look at how big, oh my god. Look at how big the ring gets. The AoE on these guys is definitely going to get real saucy. So right now I'm going to go back to using some of my other weapons just because I am getting a little bit low on ammo. And I'm going to try and ignite this guy. It said he's stunned, but kind of like just kidding on the stun. I'm going to try and get a finisher on him as well, to take advantage of my mods and create a special ammo brick. And so right there, 2 bricks right there, we got 300 ammo for our trace rifle. So like, yeah, we are using double special, but like I said, the ammo economy is just really crazy. And I'm also, if I'm not mistaken, if you're running double special, Destiny has this kind of like feel bad ammo, like poverty system, where if you're out of ammo on all of your guns and you wait long enough, the game will just like give you ammo. It'll just be like, oh, poor guy. Here, let's refund all his ammo. Okay, let's get this out so we heal up and get our Hellion going again. I mean, so far, it's so good. We just got 7 ammo for our call sidearm from picking up that heavy ammo brick, thanks to the lead from gold on it. Pop, 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 pop. All right, so right here, I'm just gonna pop, even if I'm not even like really in threat of anything, I'm just gonna rip it, dude. Because we're in a Grandmaster, right? It only takes a couple of shots from enemies to put me down. All right, let's get the boys up. I'm out of my super now, so I gotta play a little more reserved. Pull out the rocket sidearm, take out that Centurion. And let's start lobbing some grenades. Let's hit the class ability. I'm a little weak right now. Oh, good T-crash. Beautiful. My one problem that I'm not sure how much I love with using this Celestial Fire melee ability is the range on it is so limited. I do understand that I can do way more from like a scorching perspective. Like it can apply way more scorch stacks to enemies than Celestial Fire can, the alternate option. But the range on Celestial Fire is just so much further. All right, so 1 special ammo brick. How much ammo do I get from this? I get almost 200 ammo from a single special ammo brick from my Prometheus lens. Like the ammo economy on this loadout, despite using double special, is not that big of a concern. You guys might want to get up here with me. What the? Whoa, huh? This guy has the Truth Rocket perk on his void attacks. What was that, dude? I've never seen that in my life. That was insane. See, like, this is what I'm talking about. I gotta get kind of close just to be able to actually hit these guys with my melee. I'm gonna try and get enough scorch stacks on this Incendiar to ignite him so that he gets stunned. I don't really know how I'm feeling about the... Like, I get the idea for the special finisher, but I'm just not really getting that many stacks of armor charge. Maybe that's more of a my fault thing, and I need to be playing up more often. Let the machine gun do a little bit of work. I mean, the Scorch is tearing them all apart, considering that it's doing 200% extra damage from Dawn Chorus. Like, all of the Scorch that's cascading across all of these ad packs from the Incandescent from the Catalyst on Prometheus lens and the Incandescent that I have on my machine gun is just shredding everything. I am wondering, though, like, why I'm not on Dawnblade right now. Like, Song of Flame is really, really good, don't get me wrong. I do like Song of Flame. But this helmet makes Dawnblade crazy. I'm kind of sitting here right now, like... And if I was on Dawnblade right now, I would be... Whoa! Okay, that fusion grenade is doing work. I do like the angle, though, for, like... I mean, I kind of get the angle of Song of Flame, where it's, like, all of my weapons, when I'm in Song of Flame, automatically deal extra Scorch stacks to targets. So, like, I get how that synergizes nicely with the Dawn Chorus, but, yeah, I just really like Dawnblade. And in the Edge of Fate, if we can get up to 200 super stat with your Dawnblade, you'll be dealing 45% extra bonus damage with the Dawnblade on top of the 90% that you're dealing from Dawn Chorus. Yeah, let that the Incandescent plus volatile rounds on that pack of enemies. Get a little saucy grenade up in here. Yeah, I think Tanasha's Mastery would definitely be the play over the Call if you have access to it. I think the Call was just more of a recommendation because, again, my assumption is that they didn't have Tanasha's Mastery. I think this might be a little Song of Flame pop right here. And then keep applying the overload with my trace rifle. Yeah, it's like Song of Flame is... I mean, I I get to use my weapons while I'm in Song of Flame, so I guess that has that angle, but... Man, if I was in Dawnblade, like, it's kind of cooking, you know? I also feel like Dawnblade is just such a fun super that... tough to pass up any opportunity. Oh, hold up. Anti-barrier on my call. Did you know that with the anti-barrier weapons, by the way, fellas? I don't know how many people didn't know this, but on anti-barrier weapons, it's not just barrier shields that you can shoot through, it's any shield in the entire game. So that includes stuff like these domes that Taken Vandals put out. I feel like most people know that by now, but just in case. All right, let's try and top off our ammo before we get up here. We're looking pretty good. I haven't gotten a single special finisher off, I don't think, this entire run, and I really have not had any ammo problems. And I think that's due to, in part, that I have lead from gold on my sidearm, plus the fact that, like, both of these special ammo weapons really, from an ammo economy perspective, play like primary ammo weapons, like I was saying. Let's get a grenade on there. And then we're gonna hit a little dive. I want to try and ignite this unstoppable Taken Phalanx. Okay, I'm getting a little weak. So we're just gonna pop the Song of Flame as a little insurance policy. And I'll just go psycho mode and cook all those ads. I mean, Song of Flame is good. It's such a good super. Like, I can understand the justification for going with Song of Flame over Dawnblade, even though Dawn Chorus has such good benefits for Dawnblade. I think at the end of the day, like, it might actually be a personal preference situation. And in Edge of Fate, situations like these are going to be so good because you'll get Radiant just by doing what I'm doing right now and landing precision hits on an enemy. Like, doing that alone will give you Radiant because of the artifact. So honestly, like, when you're looking at the damage that the build is doing, especially when it's just, like, sustained Prometheus lens fire, add 20%. Okay, we'll hit that guy with one of those, and then we're not gonna mess around. We're not gonna take any chances. Okay, we're just gonna pop the Song of Flame. We're gonna get our teammate killed again. Let's go for this res. Get the revive. I'm gonna immediately hit a dive to try and heal him, and then I'll get a dive on this fella to try and heal him. And then I'm going to try and keep overload on that hobgoblin, throw my grenade, double explosion. Should take him out, kill some of the darts. Looking good. Like right here, I'd be getting Radiant just by hitting him. And I would also be getting the Radiant Shrapnel as well, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, we're a little low on ammo for the Prometheus lens. We only have 80 shots. We have so much heavy ammo, though. So it's really not that big of a concern. And our heavy, when we get heavy ammo final blows, it is generating special ammo. There's a special brick right there that I can pick up. Okay, I'm gonna kill some of these darts right here. And then I'm gonna pick up this sucker so I can get my super back up. Pop Song of Flame, hit a dive for myself and my teammate. Go a little crazy. Go a little crazy. Crazy mode, psycho mode. That might be all she wrote. I really like Prometheus lens. This gun is fun. Looks so pretty too. That was an easy run, dude. Holy. 21-minute run. I walked out of that bad boy with almost 200 kills and 51 orbs created. I don't even know what I was doing to create orbs. I mean, the only way I can create orbs is with my Strand/Solar Siphon and with my Reaper. And I made 51 casually, I guess. Super kills would have also contributed big time, yes. GG's. I'm not letting you guys out yet. I'm making you guys stay with me because here's the thing. It's a very good build. I would even say it's an extremely good build, but I think it can be better, which is what's really exciting to me. Step one, now this is not necessary, but I would say if you have access to one, swap the call for Tinashes. At least if you're doing content where you're dealing with champions or you're dealing with high threat mini boss targets. Because a chill clip on Tinashes, 3 bullets, instantly freezes it. Absolutely incredible. And as was noted with Flame Fiber and Freeze coming in next season, we're going to get a Solar and Strand combo helmet mod and a Solar and Stasis combo siphon mod. So you're perfectly good to to go in terms of being able to create orbs with multi-kills from a stasis rocket sidearm or a solar rocket sidearm. My one concern, I suppose, to a certain degree is that we don't have lead from gold on this, so we might need to be a little bit more careful with our ammo economy, but I think we'll be okay. Next, I'm not sure. I don't want to say this is going to be definitively better, but I do want to try it with Daybreak. I want to try it with Dawnblade and just see how it feels. I think it honestly might boil down to like a personal preference situation, because the thing is, Daybreak is very nice for like bursty damage and kind of like selfish damage, but Song of Flame is really nice for empowering your entire team, and you have like 90% damage resistance in it. There's no way you're ever dying in Song of Flame. So it's like, I feel like you could make arguments for both, but I do want to try it with Daybreak, just see how it feels. I do want to swap the Incinerator Snap for Celestial Fire, just so I have a little bit of extra range on my melee. I didn't really like feeling like I had to like get super close to enemies just to hit the melee. I know that this can do better for Scorching, but Celestial Fire's, the ease of use is so much higher. I actually really like the Fusion Grenade. I'm going to stick with that. I kind of lean towards going Healing Grenades in a lot of builds like this, but I really like the damage of the Fusion Grenade, and I felt like I had more than enough healing with the Phoenix Dive, and it was up 24/7 with all of the class ability regeneration that I'm getting. Love the aspects with Touch of Flame and Hellion. I want to try and mess around here, okay? Ember of Char, your solar ignition spreads scorch to affected targets. I think on paper, this sounds really, really good, but in practice, I feel like we're not getting that many ignitions, because most enemies are just dying to our 200% bonus damage Scorch before they ever get enough Scorch stacks to ignite. So I do kind of want to swap this one for something like the Ember of Torches, just for now, while we're in pre-Edge of Fate. In the Edge of Fate, I don't think Ember of Torches is going to be necessary because of Fever and Chill, where upon scoring multiple precision hits within 3 seconds of each other with solar weapons, you get Radiant for 10 seconds. You're not going to need Ember of Torches for that one bit. But I think in the current moment, it's going to feel nice. I also want to swap out Ember of Searing. Defeating scorched targets grants melee energy and creates a fire sprite. Oh, actually, do I? I really like the fact that I'm getting melee energy from that. I want to find a way to fit like Benevolence or Empyrean in here somewhere, is what my struggle is. I can't get rid of Ashes because it makes me do so much more. It increases my Scorch stack so significantly. I like the melee regeneration from Searing from defeating Scorched targets, because everything I defeat is Scorched. And I love the bonus class ability regeneration whenever I Scorch targets, because again, I always Scorch everything. I'm thinking maybe if you wanted to, in the Edge of Fate, when you can get rid of torches, you could maybe throw in Benevolence. You could also do something like Empyrean, so that solar weapon or ability final blows extend the duration of restoration and radiant effects applied to you. And then you could swap out your fusion grenade for a healing grenade so that you can chuck it at your feet and get that restoration. And then you'd be able to increase the duration of your restoration and the duration of your radiant, which you would get either from Ember of Torches, or when we enter the Edge of Fate season from the artifact mod, you'd be able to increase the duration of both of those with Empyrean just by getting final blows with the Prometheus lens, your machine gun, or any solar ability. I want to hang on to torches right now, and then let me try, I want to switch around some mods just a little bit. I feel like the special finisher just wasn't necessary, and I feel like I was never at enough stacks of armor charge to take advantage of it anyway. So I think I'd rather swap this for a powerful attraction so that my dive scoops up orbs, and then that procs the recuperation, which feels really good. And then I think I would actually lean into a solar weapon surge so that I can get even more damage with my Prometheus lens. And then I think I want to go a little bit more into grenade energy regeneration, because I'm already getting so much energy regeneration from my melee with my fragments and my class ability with my fragments. So I think I would actually definitely want an impact induction somewhere. So I think I'll put an impact induction right there. And then I have bomber on my class ability. So spamming class ability will give me grenade energy. So I'll maintain the focusing strike and the bolstering detonation. I think is what I'm currently leaning towards right now. Okay. Let's take it for one more spin. Speed run this boy. Absolutely smoke it. All right, we're just gonna push up like this and go crazy. Hit that real quick, get our heal. And I think right there, if I'm not mistaken, I actually healed from both the Phoenix Dive and from scooping up the Orb of Power that I made on that Hypernova Legionnaire. I scooped it up with Powerful Attraction, which procced my recuperation. And let's hit another dive. So we proc Reaper. Give that guy a little bit of the smoke. Throw out some Tanasha shots. Give these guys some of the smoke. A couple extra Tanasha shots. I'm gonna give you a little heal real quick. Already have our super. All right, you two, you're activate Operation Stun the Unstoppable Champions so that I can murder them with Dawnblade. I guess I can kind of stun. Oh. I can stun them pretty quickly because my Dawnblade swings do extra Scorch stacks. Leave me alone. We'll finisher on him. I'm gonna move up in advance and take out these Scorpius turrets. Think, 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 think. Yeah, rocket sidearms are peak. I'm gonna let that go off. I'm gonna hang out down here. Hit that guy, get my radiant. Get my dive so I don't die. Extra damage. Extra damage. I kind of want to save my Dawnblade for when the Tormentor spawns. No! Okay, that was almost bad. I feel like Dawnblade is probably not good against Tormentors because it just deals all body shot damage, and Tormentors only really take damage from crit damage to their chest. Ah! What? Okay, hit that. Hit that. Let's get an ignition on this guy. Hit the dive. Truly, the damage is respectable. You know, game recognized game. Give you a little spear in the face. Yeah, so far, from an ammo perspective, I actually have way more ammo than I did the last run. That kind of feels like a coincidence, though. All right. Let's keep this show on the road. Ooh. That could... a cool alternative weapon to this, if you're concerned about running double special. That's a great call, Rob. Tommy's matchbook. Or Thomas's matchbook, if we're talking about the talking about it in a, you know, more distinguished manner. I feel like this build kind of plays a lot like the Raiden Flux Arc Staff Hunter build, where you're just in super all the time with wildly increased super damage, and you get super energy crazy fast anytime you're not in super, and instead of just like spamming bolt charge on every single thing and blind and a bunch of debuffs on every single thing, you're just spamming ignitions and scorch on every single thing. It's like the Solar Warlock version of that Arc Hunter build, basically. Boss room, 13 minutes? If we don't get a sub 20 run, no, I don't even know. The Dawnblade going. Yeah, I don't know. Song of Flame might feel better, to be completely honest. Oh, he's taking that super to orbit along with that 18 Axion. Yep, dead. You have Thunder Crash up. Use it. What are you, dude? Use the Thunder Crash. What are we saving the Thunder Crash for? When are we using it? What, the fish? Use the crash. The crash. He said saving that D crash for D3. I love that. Will it build? Absolutely yes. To be completely honest, I kind of vibe with the Song of Flame over the Dawnblade. I know that Dawnblade has such good synergies with that helmet, but like Song of Flame is just so good. Ember of Torches, not really going to be necessary next season when the Edge of Fate drops. I think if you slot like Ember of Empyrean in here, and then you maybe swap the Fusion Grenade to Healing Grenade, it's even harder to die. Plus you get the Restoration ×2 from Touch of Flame, and you'll get the Radiant from the Artifact mods, and then just Solar Weapon Final Blows or Ability Final Blows will increase the duration of those buffs. So you basically have like Perma Radiant, Perma Restoration. Now, what I will say is, in terms of stats, I think the most valuable stats here are probably going to be... I mean, let's think about this, right? We care a lot about our class ability spam. We care a lot about our grenade usage, because the Touch of Flame Fusion Grenade is very, very potent. We care a lot about our melee regeneration, because of all the sources we have to regenerate our melee. But, I mean, our melee isn't that strong, to be honest. I mean, we don't need it up that frequently, especially if we're not going to be running the Ember of Torches. It is a nice extra method to scorch things, but, like, we're already scorching everything with Hellion. I think the weapon stat will be really nice, though. and the super stat. I feel like we don't care that much about the melee stat. I think we want our grenade stat to go as high as possible. So we try and get this in 200 territory. I think we try and get our weapon stat to be really, really high. I think we try and get our super stat to be like medium, especially with like mods like Dynamo or something like that. I think we want to aim for like 70 on our super stat, and our class stat, we want a minimum of 70. I don't really think it's necessary to get this above 100. I don't think we need the overshield from class ability activation that much because we're already getting the heal from Phoenix Dive in and of itself, and recuperation and powerful attraction will scoop up all the orbs and whatnot. So I think we want to go crazy on our grenade regeneration and bonus grenade damage. We want to go decently high on our weapons so that we get the bonus damage towards enemies with our Prometheus lens. And then I think super we want in like the 70 to 100 range, just so we have Song of Flame up very frequently and we can play extremely aggressive whenever we pop it. So what do we want to be able to accomplish these stats, right? So the template I'm going to give you guys here is we got our class, we got our super, we got our grenade, and we have our weapons, right? I think grenade we want to try and get in like the 200 territory. Super we want in the 70 to 100 territory. Class we want in the 70 to 100 territory. And weapons we want whatever is left over. And the way the conversions are working at the current moment is recovery is going to convert into class, intellect is going to convert into super, discipline is going to convert into grenade, and mobility is going to convert into weapons. So this is how the conversions are going to look, right? Now, how do you get this armor? How do we get armor with these favorable splits? I'm actually going to have to go on a different character for a brief second to showcase it because I actually don't have this method unlocked on my Warlock yet. But on whatever character you have, you're going to, at the very least, need to do the first mission of episode Echoes. If you have not done it yet and you don't have the quest in your inventory, if you go to the tower, you can go to the quest archive terminal in the seasonal tab. You'll be able to pick it up and it'll have you do a mission over here on Nessus that's kind of hanging out like somewhere in this region right here. Once you do that, you will be able to go to the last city. And is there a way to go straight to the helm yeah, there is. You go to the last city and you'll go to the helm. So we'll go ahead and scurry on over there. So when you get to the helm, if you go to failsafe B 3.0, you can interact with her and you can trade in your episode echo engrams, which you'll get by just completing any activity, specifically through seasonal engram decoding. Now, you want to make sure that you focus the specific piece you want, because if you just do any echo armor, then you will not get high stat rolls. The only way you get high stat rolls is if you focus the individual pieces of armor. So what you'll want to do is you'll just want to spend these engrams on getting helmets, gloves, chests, and boots. Don't worry about class items because class items do not currently roll with stats, and in the Edge of Fate they will come with stats. So any that you get right now are going to be pretty useless in terms of stat allocations. When we walk into the Edge of Fate, you're just going to have to wait until you get some actual stats on class items that'll drop in the Edge of Fate. But you'll go ahead and get some boots, chest, gloves, and helmets until you get the desirable stats that you want. And to help influence the stats that you want, you can come to your ghost shell right here and you can actually plug in a mod to focus a specific type of stat. So for example, on our Warlock, we noticed that what was really important to us, we really wanted basically high discipline and high intellect and high recovery, right? Because those are transferring over to the stats that we care about a lot. Since intellect and discipline are in the same stat bracket, I would probably on the ghost assign recovery armorer. That way any piece of armor that I get will get a really high spike in recovery, and then I would just hope that it has decent stat pulls in the discipline and intellect categories. Alternatively, you could also go for something on the build that I just showcased. You could go for something like discipline armor so that you get super high spikes in discipline and then hope for favorable splits in recovery and mobility, recovery transferring over to the class stat and mobility transferring over to the weapon stat. So that is what I would personally do if I was trying to set up that build in preparation for the Edge of Fate. So will it build? Absolutely yes. And if you have a build that you think is both good right now and will be absolutely exceptional in the Edge of Fate, be sure to submit it in the Will It Build channel in our Discord server, linked in the description below, so we can check it out and showcase it here on the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like the video to see the next one and subscribe to the channel so you can catch all of our Will It Builds coming in the Edge of Fate. I hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a great day.